I must use all of my brain power, all of my focus, and all of my critical thinking to come up with words to describe my thoughts on this show. Good. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Stranger Things Season 1, Episode 7, The Bathtub. These are the types of episodes that I absolutely love, because you get all of these characters that, like I said, they've been doing their own thing, but you have that one moment when they all come together with their different pieces of information. The kids obviously have a little bit more information about the details of the situation, whereas Hopper and Joyce are mostly looking at it from what little bits of information they've gathered about Brenner's group and all of this. But there were several good scenes in this. Some of the ones that stood out to me, first of all, the bike chase. Some people might say it's a little ridiculous that them and vans couldn't catch up to kids on a bike, but to be fair, the kids do know the neighborhood a lot better than this group does, so they probably would have a lot more access to those back roads or the backyards like we saw the one time, that they wouldn't be able to follow them. I like the scene whenever Lucas and Eleven and Mike all made up. Really nice, very well handled. Even Steve in this one had a real nice moment when he finally kind of wised up to what an asshole he's been, stood up to Tommy as well. It is a little odd that he just suddenly changed his mind. I don't know if it's the ass beating he got or if he just sort of looked back on his actions and went, huh, maybe I'm in the wrong here. But whatever the case, him finally saying what he's been needing to say for a while, going and wiping off the paint that he and Tommy put up. I think it was a real nice moment, and it's promising that maybe he's not going to be an asshole in all of this. Because I will say, while the high school drama has not really been that interesting to me, just giving my opinion on it, I don't really see Nancy and Jonathan as a couple. They seem to be hinting at it a lot, but it just doesn't feel quite right to me. So I don't know if this will be a chance for Steve to win Nancy back by being a better person. But the more that I see Nancy and Jonathan together, the more I'm like, this feels a lot more like a good friendship. I just don't see them being a couple, but who knows? Maybe that'll change in the future. The Hopper in this one has some more great moments, piecing the clues that he's getting together, figuring out what's going on, and then just waltzing straight into the facility to get himself taken in to probably try to convince them to let him go through the gate. Yeah, he's definitely been my favorite character for this season. Just so much fun to watch him work. As far as everything else, it was all well done. I think the one really nice thing in the bathtub scene is that moment whenever Joyce is talking to Eleven and letting her know, hey, I'm here, you're okay. It kind of shows that where in the past, whenever she's gone into the tank, she wasn't really able to sustain her connection there whenever things got scary or dangerous, but this time she managed to hold on to that and managed to go find Will because there was somebody there to actually take care of her, compared to Dr. Brenner, who's just from the outside watching in like, hey, you got it. So I thought that was a really nice moment. It's nice to see Will still alive. Unlucky for Barb, I guess. It is kind of crazy that they did just kill her off like that. You know, where we saw Will seem to still be alive, there was that chance that maybe she got away, maybe she was still trying to survive in this other world. But to find out she's just dead, I'm like, wow, that sucks for that actress. I'm assuming this final episode is going to be trying to get Will out of the Upside Down. And one final thing that just popped into my head. I do like the scenes between Nancy and Mike. They've both been kind of doing their own things for most of the season, so it's kind of nice to see her acting like the protective big sister and them kind of connecting and talking in this episode. There's something really refreshing about that. And honestly, it's probably only something that a situation like this, where there's life and death things going on, something only that type of situation can bring about. But I really did like their conversations. They felt very natural as brother and sister. And trying to remember if there's anything else, I was just reminded of the thought that I had when Dr. Brenner and all of his goons are in there trying to find information about Mike and Eleven and all of them. There was something really funny about when they were questioning Mike's mom and dad. And I think the mom said something along the lines of, there's no way he would have had a girl here and I wouldn't have known about it. Or maybe it was the dad that said it. I'm just thinking, you guys never go downstairs. Like, seeing the mom go down into the basement and find this little hut that he had set up. Like, is this your first time going down into that basement since all of this started? There was just something really funny about that, the complete obliviousness. But yeah, I think that's about it for this one. So on to the finale. Super excited. I'll see you guys there. Now episode 8, The Upside Down. It's a good way to end the season. It's very emotional, full of twists and turns, a lot of tension as well. But I guess talking about some of the stuff that stood out, trying not to go beat by beat for it. First of all, Steve is one of the ones I will say got me turned around on him by the end of the season. They still seem to be hinting that maybe there's something between Jonathan and Nancy, but Steve stepped up, I will say. Between how he was acting in the last episode, changing his mind, trying to wipe off all the paint, and then in this one, not only shows up to try to talk to her and Jonathan, and seemed like he wanted to apologize to Jonathan before he found out Nancy was there and kind of got distracted with everything else going on. But even then, he's terrified because he has no idea what the hell that monster was. But he still, after leaving and having a chance to run away, he still decides, no, you know what? I'm going to go in and I'm going to help. And does so in a pretty epic way too, I will say. So I don't know if there's going to be more high school drama in the next season, but you know what? I'm glad that Steve won me over by the end. And honestly, all three of them I think are good characters by the end of all of this. But on to my favorite character, Hopper, in this one, for the most part, really steps up. We had some emotional backstory scenes for him, getting to see what happened with his daughter. And I will say I'm a little disappointed in myself that I didn't predict it was going to be something like cancer, but that hurt. The scene with him trying to save Will while thinking about what happened with his daughter, not just his reactions, but also the music as well. It was very well timed, and it brought some tears to my eyes, choked me up a little bit. I will say the one thing for him that I was not okay with, and I don't know for sure whether he was telling the truth or not, and obviously we won't know, or I don't think we'll know, but the fact that he said he was willing to give 11 back to them as long as they left everybody else alone, I don't know for sure that he would have, but if he was going to, I will say it was not a good move from him. Granted, in the moment, it did give them some time to be able to go in there and look for Will, but if he was actually planning to just let them take 11, don't know if I would have agreed with him on that one, especially because of the fact that he lost a daughter before. I feel like he probably wasn't going to, and obviously we see at the end he seems to be leaving food for 11 out in the woods. I don't know. It's been a month, so he's probably had some time to figure out some stuff. We saw him get into the car of some of those agents, so maybe they revealed to him some stuff. Maybe 11 is still out there, and that somehow gets the food to her. Don't know how any of that makes sense, but it does seem like he's still trying to look after her at the end. I hope that's the case, and I really do hope that he was just bluffing by saying he was going to let them take 11, but I'm going to wait and see because I feel like that'll be talked about at some point. But as far as the kids are concerned, I mean, they feel like real kids. I mean, another scene that kind of got me a little emotional is their reaction to Will waking up, because I feel like it's how kids would react. You know, they're excited to have their friend back. They're telling him all of these stories of what happened before and just talking over top of each other. They're all excited and stuff. And despite the fact that all of this is some crazy shit that they just went through, it feels like it hasn't really affected them because they're a little too young to really understand what's going on. Their minds are already so open and willing to accept the batshit crazy stuff that they've been through that for them it just feels like their game came to life and they got to live out their fantasy world of Dungeons and Dragons in real life. And I feel like that's just so genuine. And for kids to be able to enjoy that, whereas all the adults and the slightly older kids, for them, you could see how they're all affected by it. Like we can see a month later that they've all kind of found a way to move on a little bit, but in the moment, that whole scene at the hospital, so many of them are so affected by everything that happened. So I think that dichotomy is really what made a lot of this final couple scenes work. I will say I was a little surprised to see all of those people die that work for whatever agency this is. Now, granted, we didn't officially see Dr. Brenner die. We saw the monster jump on top of him, which implies that he's dead, but I've consumed enough fictional media to know if you don't see the body, he may not be dead. And heck, the way this world works, who knows? Maybe somehow you can come back from the dead. We'll see. But for instance, the one woman who acted as the social care worker before, we did see she is dead. Like 11 killed her and all those other guys with guns around them, so I don't expect them to come back, but who knows? Like I said, we don't know exactly how death works in this world, so I'm also very confused about what was going on in that other world, because we saw, I think in the last episode, we saw Barb with like a slug crawling out of her mouth, and this one, whenever they save Will, they pull the thing out of his mouth that looks like a long slug, and then he coughs up a slug at the end. So I don't know exactly what that means, because I assumed the Demogorgon was just feeding on all these people. So I don't know what infecting people with a slug would do. Maybe it's not the Demogorgon doing this. Maybe there's something else in this other world that is trying to infect these people and turn them into something else. Maybe, I don't know. It's very mysterious, and there's still a lot of questions. I can definitely see how this show was able to go for more than one season. But looking back on this first season, I think it's a lot of fun. The horror elements, admittedly, are probably my least favorite part, but that's just because I'm not really a horror person, so any of the jump scares, anything like that, it's just not really my thing. But I still really like the setting. I like the atmosphere, the music. As I said, big 80s fan, so the music was right down my alley. I think a lot of the characters, even if they made some decisions that I found unlikable, it felt realistic. Again, the high school drama, it's not stuff that I'm interested in, but it still feels real. And that's probably why I'm not as interested in it, because I hated high school drama when I was in high school, and I hate it now. So it's not bad writing, it's not bad characters, it's just story stories that unfortunately I don't really connect with, so it's definitely more of a personal thing for me. But even at the end of it, I still feel like they came through with a lot of these characters, and looking at Nancy and Steve and Jonathan, they're characters that at some point throughout the season I was not really a fan of. By the end of it, I like all three of them. So clearly they've done something right here. Again, I think with the kids, there's such a genuine feeling about all of them that really helps you connect with them. I think with 11 as well, the acting for her really makes you feel like she's just this almost a lost puppy in this world. And you really feel sorry for her. Your heart breaks for her when you see all the stuff that she's had to endure up until this point. And while admittedly it was pretty predictable that she was going to either sacrifice herself or be taken away by the end of this season, just because as many times as Mike was talking to her about, yeah, my mom will take care of you and we'll have a place for you, I'm thinking, okay, that's not happening. But even though it was predictable, I still think that scene really works because it's set up in a scenario where she sees what she has to do, and Mike's reactions as well, very genuine and heartbreaking. Even though he's just a kid, and this might be his first crush, you still feel for the kid, that he's losing this girl that he was developing feelings for, and somebody that he really cared and wanted to try to help, and now he's losing her. And then on top of that, the adults as well, they bring it home. Some of them are a little uncaring. Some of them are not the best. Looking at Mike and Nancy's dad, the couple of cops that are not really taking most of this seriously. There are definitely some that are just there to be those sort of oblivious adults who think a lot of this that's going on is just, oh, kids being kids. But I think Hopper and Joyce really bring this level of maturity to the show. I think it kind of grounds a lot of this show as well. And I think looking at Dr. Brenner and all of his team, they're appropriately intimidating. Still a lot of questions about what they're trying to accomplish. We have some semblance of it in this season, but there's still a lot of questions as far as how far they're willing to go. We've seen they're willing to kill people, but for instance, for Hopper, he was willing to make this deal. Were they going to honor that deal? Or was it going to be a scenario where, yeah, sure, we'll honor it, and then as soon as their backs are turned, they'll put a bullet in the back of their heads? Like, there's a lot of questions there, and I do feel like it's perfectly set up to learn more about this group the more we get into this show. I assume, honestly, we may never see them again. I doubt that's going to happen, but it does feel like we got just enough to know who these people are, to know some of the lengths they're willing to go to, but we still don't really know about them. And even with Dr. Brenner, like I said, there's a part of me that's not convinced he's actually dead because we didn't see the body. And also, there's still a lot of questions about his relationship with 11 that I think we could delve into a bit more and find out why he was so focused on this mission that he was trying to accomplish. But also this world of the Upside Down. There's still a lot of questions there too. So I think there's a lot about this show that if it had ended in one season, I still think it would have been good. I still think a lot of people would have watched it and had a good time with it. It's something that I think Marvel didn't figure out for a little while with their shows, where some of them didn't really end. They had a story, they built it up, and then said, we'll finish it in another movie or in another show. I think this is a good example of how to have a cliffhanger. You still have a lot of questions, a lot of mysteries that your audience is going to want to solve, but you still end the season. You still end the story. This season was mostly focused on trying to get Will back from the Upside Down. Like, having that as the main goal for this season while opening up some other stories. We did finish some of them, but there are some that are left a bit open-ended. I think that really does bring the audience in and gets them wanting to know more a lot more naturally than just, hey, we're not ending the story, come back and see the end of it next season. That for me is where it feels very performative, so I'm really glad they didn't do that here. But with all that being said, those are my thoughts on these final 2 episodes and the season as a whole, so let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these final 2 episodes and season 1? Let me know, we can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Stranger Things reviews. Also check out the channel, we have a lot of other reviews on here, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.